Joining us now is Jordan Trimble, the President and CEO of Skyharbour Resources. Hi, Jordan.
Hi.
Now, we talked recently, and if you could just give us an overview of your model. We discussed the fact that you have, it's unique, you have wholly owned properties, you're a prospect generator as well, 15 projects in total. You call yourself kind of a one-stop shop, so describe it for us.
Yeah, so that's a great summary. We are now one of the largest landholders in northern Saskatchewan in the Athabasca Basin. We've been in existence as a uranium company for almost a decade now. Took advantage of depressed uranium prices and project valuations about 7, 8, 9 years ago. We've continued to add to the portfolio, recognizing continued value in certain parts of the basin. And we have a hybrid model, as we've discussed. So we are a high-grade exploration and early-stage development company, very much focused on our core projects at Russell Lake and Moore. These are projects, Moore Lake in particular, that we've been advancing for several years now. We've continued to have exploration and discovery success at the project. Russell Lake is a new advanced stage exploration asset adjacent to Moore Lake that we've optioned from Rio Tinto. Rio's now a large shareholder and partner, and so those two projects are very much where we're going to be focused with our drilling. And then we have a prospect generator business that's really kind of blossomed in the last several years, in particular with 7 partner companies now.
Right, so would you say for shareholders, they get the core projects, they also get 15 to 30% of these partner companies, and so they get news flow, they may wake up one day and there's a discovery, and they share on the upside. So they're irons in the fire, as you like to say.
Yeah, no, exactly. So the typical agreement, option agreement that we'll strike with a partner company will include an earn-in period, usually 3 to 5 years. So that is the time frame in which the partner company funds the exploration 100%, funds the advancement and development of the project. We also typically take some cash in stock on an annual basis, so they make annual payments. We get cash flow coming in from that, and those actually are increasing. A lot of these option agreements are typically backloaded, so we'll get more and more as the years go on. Look, we do like to keep a 15 to 30% minority interest in the project. Typically, there are some exceptions to that where we provide a buyout option with a big, large balloon payment to get the 100%. But typically, most of the option agreements we structure whereby we keep a minority interest. So the shareholders of Skyharbour get exposure to those various projects through that minority interest, ultimately, assuming these companies complete their earnings. They also get exposure through our equity and shareholdings in these various partner companies, and it provides lots of news flow for the company. And as you said, you can wake up one morning, and if one of these companies hits at one of these projects, we're going to have half a dozen of them active over the next 6 to 12 months. And if any one of them hits, it's needless to say a big development for us and our shareholders.
Now with Moore Lake, Jordan, you have said that it has all the ingredients of being a big resource, lots of value to unlock. So what's the latest there? Yeah,
so this has been our flagship project. We've been actively advancing and exploring Moore Lake since acquiring it in 2016, starting the work in 2017. We've shifted our exploration strategy and focus, not entirely, but mostly to these underlying basement rocks and targets. We've had some really nice high-grade hits, including drill intercept from a year ago that was 2 meters of 7% U3O8, highest grade drill result in the basement rock discovered at the project to date. We know there's high-grade mineralization there at the Maverick zone and the Maverick East zones. These are 2 high-grade lenses or pods of uranium mineralization on a 5-kilometer long conductive corridor that has only been systematically drill tested for about 3 kilometers. So there's still room to move along strike. But as I mentioned, we are looking a little bit deeper into these underlying basement rocks. That's where the feeder zones are and some of typically the highest grade mineralization, uranium in the basin can be found. It's a big project. We've only really systematically drill tested, relatively small percentage of it. There's lots of other targets, regional targets at the project, including Grid 19, which we did some drilling on earlier this year. We're having success there. So look, there's still, we believe, a lot of value to unlock. We think there's additional deposits to find at the project, and we do think there is the potential for a much larger deposit potentially in the basement rocks, and so that's what we're going to continue looking for. But I will say we are going to be, along with the drilling at Moore Lake, most of the drilling that we have budgeted for in the next 8 to 10 months is going to be focused at the adjacent Russell Lake project. So we'll do a co-advance the two projects together.
Nice segue. Russell Lake, you tested that 10 years ago, and this is the one where you have an option to buy it from Rio. I'm just wondering, in terms of the new technologies you're using to bring to bear there, is it mostly airborne or is it a combination of
So the exploration that was carried out 10 years ago was by Rio. Actually owned the project. They acquired it from Hathor, which was acquired by Rio back in 2012 for $650 million in a bidding war with Cameco. That included the Rough Rider deposit and then Russell Lake, which was a key exploration asset in Hathor's portfolio. So most of the historical work, and there's been a fair bit of historical drilling and work at the project. It is a big property, over 73,000 hectares. It's prime real estate. It's all the land between the McArthur River project and McArthur River mine, and then the Key Lake Mill. Denison's Wheeler River project, which is host to the Phoenix and Griffin deposits, is adjacent to the west, and then again to the east is our Moore Lake project. The road that services the McArthur River mine runs through our western claims at the project. The project's also host to a 40-person exploration camp, so it'll bring our drilling and exploration costs down. So that work that was carried out, it was a bunch of work carried out kind of between 1985, 1990, right through till about 2015 when Rio still had the project. There hasn't been a ton of work that Rio carried out in the last 7 or 8 years. And so for us, we are looking at using some new methods, some new techniques, some new geological thinking and modeling. And it's a really intriguing project because the geology's there for a large high-grade uranium deposit. There are historical drill holes that intersected high-grade multi-percent uranium mineralization over Skinny Wits. And there's fences of drill holes that are a couple hundred meters apart, which is a lot in the Athabasca Basin. These are high-grade, low-tonnage deposits. So we think there is the potential for us to go in and deliver a new high-grade, meaningful discovery relatively early on at the project. And so that's what we're going to be testing here in the coming months.
And are you still on track for a resource estimate in 22?
Yeah, so that's at Moore Lake.
Yep.
We are looking at a resource estimate. It'll likely be next year in 2023.
Okay.
So we've just completed some drilling there. This year we do, as I mentioned, have plans to continue drilling there in early 2023, and then we'll look at putting out a resource estimate at that project, and then at the same time continue advancing Russell Lake through the drilling.
Now, broadly in the sector, you think we're in the early innings of this cycle for uranium. And what do you think about the change in tone? And we were talking about this a while ago from governments, where they're now pro-nuclear, Japan, you name it, Germany, et cetera.
Yeah, no, look, the last 2 years, the sentiment around nuclear energy and as an offshoot to that, uranium mining, uranium being the fuel for nuclear energy, has completely shifted. And you look at certain countries like Germany, like Japan, that needless to say, 2, 3, 4 years ago were, I'd say almost anti-nuclear, in particular with Germany. They've shifted, they've transitioned their policies and their attitude towards it. Public sentiment has improved, investor sentiment has improved. When I think of nuclear energy, I really think of 3 major mega trends globally right now that nuclear plays into. The first 2, decarbonization or clean energy. Obviously, nuclear is the only source of baseload, clean, affordable, scalable, reliable electricity generation available. And then you couple that with just the amount of electrification we're seeing, right? So the demand for electricity is slated to increase over 50% by 2040. By some estimates, you add in electric vehicles and various other, the digital world, right, that we live in. Electrification is a major trend that's continuing. And then third, but almost more topical right now, is energy independence and security of supply, as we're seeing the war in Russia and Ukraine play out here. Russia is a big player in the nuclear industry. They account for over 10% of global primary mine supply, but 30 to 40% of the conversion and enrichment markets. And then you've got nearby Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan that then round out primary mine supply, upwards of you put them all together, over 50% of primary mine supply. So as the West is carving out Russia and potentially other producing countries in the region, you're going to have to see Western utilities rethink their contracting strategies going forward and where they're purchasing material from. And that's where Western companies like Skyharbour and other companies that are operating in Canada, in Australia, in the US stand to benefit. There's a lot of material that needs to be bought by Western utilities, and the source of that material, where it's coming from, that very much is a question mark going forward.
Now, 8 or 9 years ago, Jordan, you couldn't have foreseen what you just talked about and what's happening in the uranium sector. But when you were starting the company and buying up land for pennies on the dollar, was the vision that eventually the uranium sector would turn around?
Yeah, no, absolutely it was. I think we were maybe a little early to it, but and it's still, as you pointed out, I like to say it's very much still in the early innings, right? At $50 a pound, where we're trading at today. We're well off the historical highs. When you factor in cost inflation, the average all-in cost of production globally, the incentive price needed to bring new meaningful production, especially in the West, to bring that online is much, much higher than $50 a pound. So I still think there's a lot of runway. But yeah, we had a vision, and we had a belief that this market was, it was beaten up post Fukushima. There was attractive opportunities and valuations. We were able to put the asset base and not just the asset base, but assemble a top tier team of geologists and capital markets people in management. And now that we're seeing the market turn, it's affording us other new opportunities, in particular with the prospect generator business, but also acquiring a project like Russell Lake. I mean, that was a project, a more advanced stage exploration asset that Rio was looking for the right partner on, and we took a while to get the deal done, but we're thrilled to have it in our portfolio. We think there's much like Moore Lake, there's a lot of value to unlock there through the drilling, and that's what we're going to be doing here over the next 12 months.
And lastly, you've said that the end game is to sell Skyharbour.
Mm-hmm.
So is the simple strategy to get a discovery or two, prove it out, and sell, or is that too simplistic?
Look, that would be an ideal situation. But look, we recognize the inherent riskiness of exploration. You don't always have success. That's one of the reasons, as we've discussed, why we carry out the prospect generator business. A lot goes into target selection and refining drill picks and all that, and we feel like we are providing our shareholders the best shot at exposure to a new discovery, but you can't guarantee exploration or discovery success. So we find other ways to add value in the interim. Big part of that again through the prospect generator business, new partnerships, strategic partnerships, and new opportunities to acquire new projects and add to our portfolio. So we don't want to be the just put all of our eggs in one basket with one project, with one drill program, right? So very much have a diversified approach to it. And yes, ultimately we are looking to sell the company. We would like to be acquired. That's what we're working towards, hopefully in a higher uranium price environment, better market conditions. And I think we're doing all the right things right now. And we have a very busy, I'll finish off by saying we have a very, very busy 12 months coming up, because it is going to be our largest single drill campaign that we've ever carried out collectively with our partners over the next 12 months. Likely we're expecting between 25 to 35,000 meters of combined drilling. So no lack of news flow and no lack of potential exposure to a new discovery.
All right, great stuff. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you again.
See ya.
Jordan Trimble, President and CEO of Skyharbour Resources.